I am very excited for today's video. If you didn't read the title already, we are going through some of my favorite plants of 2023. Even though it is already 2024 and we're almost into March. I know I'm super late to this. I don't know if it's a trend or whatever you want to call it, but I really like the idea of talking about some of my favorite plants over the past year, especially in the regards of just the process, you know, how they've grown, what's been going on, the trials, the errors. I kind of find that really fun and interesting, so I thought it'd be fun to talk about that today. For those who don't know, my name is Jet, welcome. I don't have a specific order or list. I'm not gonna say like ranking from this to this. I'm not going through and like ranking them in any order. I just really appreciate these plants. The way I kind of chose them was I kind of just walked around my apartment and looked at everything and I was like, what really impressed me or what just brings me a lot of joy, and that's kind of how I decided on which plants are kind of my favorite. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off with, I think the biggest plant on this list today is going to be this beauty here. This is my Cocos nucifera. I watched a video right now how to pronounce it and I still think I butchered it. But this is also known as a coconut palm. So you can see it is literally just a whole coconut. I adore this plant. I've had it for a while and it's been trial and error for sure. I still feel like I'm learning it a little bit more. I think the lighting has been probably one of the most trickiest things for this, but it is pushing out new growth and it was taking a long time to do it. And this one does look larger. So I think I'm doing something right. In regards to care, it's been pretty laid back. It's one of those plants that doesn't really want to dry out. So as soon as it's like halfway dry, that's usually when I give it a really good soak. It's about once a week right now. It'll probably be a little bit more intense in the summer. It has been in the same pot for a pretty long time now. It's probably been it's definitely been over a year, maybe longer. But in regards, it's still doing pretty good. I used to have this actually right where this euphorbia was, so it was getting direct light, south facing, you know, a ton of it. And I do believe that is what caused some of this browning on the edge. Now, I am not 100% sure if that actually was the reason why, or if maybe I was a little late to watering, because I've had some problems with watering the past month or so. Other than that, it's pretty easy going. I have been told that they like higher humidity and my space is typically pretty high. So I don't think that's been an issue for me, or I don't think I've ran into any issues with that. Since I've had the plant, it has pushed out maybe only like a couple of leaves. So I don't know if they're naturally slow growing or I'm just doing stuff wrong, but it still takes the cake for me as one of my favorite plants, I think in general. I really just like how unique it is. It's one of those things where people come into my space and they literally see this and they go, what's on the bottom? And I'm like, it's coconut. And like, people's minds are just blown from it. I just think they're really fun, a lot of character. I still haven't found like the pot for it because it's just such a special plant to me that I'm like, I need to find the most like exquisite, most like tasteful pot for this guy. I was talking to my friend about it and he told me that I should see about finding a good pot, but then doing like a top layer of sand to kind of mimic like a coconut on the beach. And I was like, yo, I love that so much. So that's kind of the goal in general. At one point it did have spider mites. That was a battle. It was it was really annoying. They did go away. They actually went away right when I moved into this place. So I was treating it pretty consistently and I think that's what did it, but also I'm wondering if just during the move, I don't know, it stressed all of them out and they died because we moved in the middle of the summer and it was like 115 degrees. So who knows? I don't know what happened, but they're not here anymore. And that's really all that matters at the end of the day. The next one that I have here is one that I got as a gift. So I think that also has a little bit of a sentimental value, but it's also just a really interesting and fun plant. This is my Dioscorea elephantii, I believe is the correct pronunciation. I have pronounced it wrong in the past. And even now I've looked up a handful of times and I still feel like I hear different things and I don't know. This is a super fun and super interesting caudex plant. It's kind of hard to see the caudex because I just have decided to let it really grow out. So hopefully you can get a good view there. But this is just such a fun and interesting plant in general. I really do enjoy, like I said, like the caudex of them. I think that's what really shows the uniqueness of this plant in general. I should trim it back to show it off a little bit more, but I'm also been meaning to repot this just because it dries out like every couple of days now. It's been in this pot for a while, and when I first got it, I think it had just a couple of leaves growing, like a cute little stem, and I was in love with it, and to see where it's at now is just so fun. I haven't put it on a trellis. I haven't really done anything specific with this plant in general. I kind of just wanted to let it exist, and it is honestly, I think that's why I love it so much. I think it's just so fun to just see it trail off and do all these funky, interesting things. In regards to care, I don't really do anything super crazy with it. I have it on a west-facing window, so it's getting a decent amount of light, but nothing super direct all day. And in regards to watering, like I said, it's every couple of days, but realistically, these want to dry out in between waterings. And they can withstand, you know, going a couple extra days. I notice leaves typically will yellow if I wait too long, or sometimes you'll just see them kind of wither up. But most of the time, I notice that they yellow out. A lot of the growth that was inside the center part has died out, but I'm just assuming that's just because it's grown out so much on the side, so it's just not getting as much light. You can see this side is definitely the west-facing side because I don't rotate it that much. So a lot of those leaves are really big on that side, which is so cool to see. But in the future, I would love to get this repotted in something a little bit more unique. There is a certain ceramist that I just adore, Mipa's Pots and Plants. I have the UFO hanging saucer that I have yet to put anything in or use. I'm so mad at myself for it, but I just haven't found a good spot yet. But they also make really, really beautiful Codex pots, and I just love the style of them, and I think it would really complement this Discoria very, very much. So it's on the list. I really want to get something like that in the future. I probably will just keep it like this for a while. I haven't had issues with watering it, but if I notice the watering becomes worse or I am really struggling with it, then I'll look about repotting it to something else. If you ever get to see one in person or have a chance to get one, I highly recommend it, especially if you just like fun, unique things. They can get absolutely massive. They're very slow growing. One thing I do recommend is wherever you do buy it, try to make sure they are a reputable source. These do get poached very often, but there are really good nurseries and places out there that have grown them from seed or have grown them for years and years and years to get them up to those sizes. So just make sure you know where you're buying it from, just to, you know, not make things worse for what's going on in regards of like poaching and whatnot. This next plant that I have here was definitely like a struggle for months, almost a year. I pretty much almost gave up on it because it was slowly rotting on me and I just couldn't figure out what to do. But we've rebounded, and I think we're doing it really, really good. I'm very excited about this one. But right here, I have my Epiphyllum Anguliger, I believe is the pronunciation for the Latin name. It's also known as like a rickrack cactus, but I have this in a very beautiful pot that's probably hard to see, but the pot is from a company called Angus and Celeste, and it is their hanging jelly pot, I believe, if I remember correctly. But I am just so proud of this plant. It has pushed out a ton of new growth. It is a little bit smaller than some of the older counterparts, but where it is in my space and how it looks in my space, I think I actually prefer it. With this one, it was such a struggle in the beginning when I got it because I originally put it outside in my old apartment. I had a shaded west-facing patio area and I was like, oh my God, it's gonna do so good. I'm so happy. You know, I was really excited for it. And it would never dry out. It slowly started to rot. It started to do really bad. I couldn't figure out what to do. I repotted it in something even more chunky, still nothing. And it was outside. It was just such a weird situation. It almost felt like someone was like walking by and like watering it or doing something to it, which no one was, but I just couldn't figure it out. And I was getting ready to just give up on it. I brought it inside and it started to do a little bit better. It was drying out, but it wasn't really putting out any growth. It wasn't really doing anything. I just kind of was like, okay. So when we moved into this place, I had it by the south-facing window for a while and I saw it doing good and I was like, okay, cool, like it's growing finally, like this is exciting. But it looked awful over there. It just didn't fit. It was kind of blocking a lot of the space, and even just to wash your hands, like it was just there. It was in the way. I didn't like it. So when I saw this pot and I immediately just thought of this plant, I was like, oh my God, this would be so pretty to hang. And I swear, ever since I repotted it into here and kept it in that south facing, it has pushed out so much new growth and I just cannot get over it. In regards to the care, it's pretty easygoing. I probably water this once every couple of weeks. That's a lie. Probably every week and a half is what I would say. It has grown out a lot and it is kind of, I don't know what the word is, but It's a little all over the place, so I'm nervous to do it, but I do think I'm going to trim it soon. I think I'm gonna trim a lot of that older growth because a lot of it is wrinkly looking, old, sad. Like it's lived its life, it's done its part. So I think I wanna give it a really good trim and cut back a decent amount of it and just kind of let some of these longer, kind of thinner growth points kind of be the showcase. Plus I think it would allow you to see the pot a little bit better, which is another reason why I'm kind of wanting to do so. But in regards to it, I have just fallen in love with this plant. It is just such a fun one. I love it at the window. People walk in and immediately are just like, whoa, like, okay, what the hell is going on? And I'm like, yes, like that's what I want to hear. I want people to be, you know, curious and just interested in the things that I have in my space. I don't know. Is that egotistical? That might be egotistical. So this next one that I have is probably one of my favorite anthuriums. I might be reaching with that one, but it's just so much fun. I just love everything about it, and I love how well it's growing in the conditions that I have it in. But the one in question is my Anthurium pallidiforum. You can see it's pretty long in general. So the newest leaf is this one that's up in the front here underneath my hand, and it is definitely not hardened off. It is still growing, and I am so excited to see how long it gets. Each leaf has consistently gotten bigger for me, and it's just been such an exciting plant. Whenever I do see new growth coming out, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get really excited for it. But in regards, I have it in a kokedama, so it is a moss ball here. It is not the prettiest by any means, and it might be able to see, but the roots are starting to really push out of it in general. It also dries out in days now. So it is time for me to redo the kokedama. I want to keep it in the kokedama a little bit longer at least, because I like how it looks. I like that it's hanging up. I just think it's such a fun plant, but I do have to water this every like 3 days. As soon as it dries out, you can kind of tell these will start to fold in. You can see that they're still folded in from me letting it dry out a little too much. But if you want to dip your toes in anthuriums, and I'm pretty sure I say this almost every video at this point now whenever I do talk about this anthurium, please get this one. This has been such a laid back plant. It is such a fun anthurium, and even too, I feel like it does pretty good in just ambient conditions. I just have it sitting up in the room, not doing anything crazy, and it seems to be just living its best life overall. I feel like the fish wire job that I did like a year ago or so is finally starting to like give out, so it's definitely gonna be time soon to redo this. I don't know if I'll just put more moss over it and then just retie it up again, or if I'm gonna take it apart and then kind of go from there. So I don't know. If you do kokedamas a lot and you know, ever have to readjust them, tell me what you do, because I really don't know what the best method will be. I'm thinking about just keeping it as is, but that might not be a good idea. It might be time to take it all apart and like give it a break. Last but definitely not least, I have a Platicerium here. It is my Platicerium Superbum. I cannot explain to you how proud I am of this plant. One, when I got it, it was in a 4-inch nursery pot. It looked really good, it was really healthy. I was having troubles with watering it. I just couldn't tell when, and so it was starting to brown. And I just felt like I didn't understand how to take care of Platicerium as much as I thought I did, and I really thought I might have bit off more than I could chew. So as time progressed, I was like, all right, I need to mount this up. So I ended up just using cork, and I ended up mounting this all on my own, which in itself was really exciting. I was really proud of how it turned out, but it took months, like 6+ months before I felt like I saw it do anything really. And I was really worried that I was just not doing anything right. It was browning, it was showing a lot of markings. It just did not look healthy, and I was just really upset. So flash forward, we moved into here. I have it up against that wall where it gets a little bit of direct light from west facing, so when the sun sets, and it's doing so good. It's pushed out so much new growth. It is slowly starting to cover up the entire moss ball that I formed, which is so cool to see. You can even see here, it's starting to do whatever that is. I still think it's the shield frond itself and not the fertile fronds. I forget with the Superbums how they look when they're mature. I think I'm thinking of a elephantoides. I believe that's the pronunciation for another type of Platicerium. I think in my head, that's what I'm thinking, how this looks when it's mature, and my head's all over the place right now. I cannot wait to see what happens. I am worried that this was too small too small of a mount because it was smaller. It really was. I wish I could like lift off the new growth so you can see underneath it. It was small. So I'm gonna keep my eyes on it. If it starts to engulf everything and it starts to wrap around the cork itself, I might try to see about moving it, but I'm so scared because like I said, the first time I did this, I thought I messed up. So the idea of having to take it off and remount it is like the scariest thing to me. So I'm hoping I don't have to do it. But overall, I am so, so proud of this one. I am also slightly upset. It did get scale. I think I got scale from the other Platic, which I have treated and I haven't seen them really. I keep checking the leaves and with scale, they leave like that weird like sticky residue. So I haven't really seen that there, but I do see them on the older leaves. I did do a systemic granule treatment on it and all of them have browned up and I don't see anything on the new growth. So my fingers are crossed, but I felt like that's just way too easy. So we shall see. It's probably the only bummer about this plant right now, but in general, I am so, so, so in love. All I do is just fill the side of it. As soon as it's dry, I just take it to the sink and I just give it a really, really good soak. And it's been doing good. It's making me want so many more Platiceriums. I still want the Ripley, I believe is the pronunciation, and the Madagascarsky, I believe is the other one. The Madagascarsky one, oh, that is like wish list dream plant. It is such a cool Platicerium. But besides the fact, if you haven't tried out any Platicerium before and you want something funny and unique, please get yourself either a bifurcantum or I would say a Superbum. It's been pretty easy going once I got it all mounted up. Alrighty, the Platic Superbum was the last one that I had on the list. I do hope you enjoyed my small little showcase of some of my favorite plants over the past year. I think they all have such unique characteristics to them and or just are very close to me in regards of being able to kind of revive them or just being able to get them to the point where I feel like they're thriving or they just look really good, which is, I think, a very satisfying feeling for anyone who owns plants. You want your things to look good, and when you figure it out, it's a good feeling. But if you did enjoy the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, definitely hit the sub button. It helps me out a ton. Other than that, I do hope everyone has a lovely rest of their day or night, wherever they may be, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.